Welcome everyone to the Sport Clips 55 here at Darlington Raceway. Finally back in FSS action after a 50-year hiatus, pretty much. I'm joined by my co-commentators, Nitro and DGF. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Good evening, folks.
On the pole for this race is the 84 of Mr. Carter Friesen, 91 of Jazz CYT, third is Dew Storm, fourth is
Crispy
Fried Racer in that beautiful Spitfire number 42 Dodge. And last is, no, not last, fifth is Just Jackhammer.
We come to the line, green flag set, we're racing and touching them. Almost.
Now it's green.
Now it's green. Thought the front stretch was shorter than it actually is. The field heads into turn 1, the 91 on the outside of the 84. 84 begins to pull away, is now the 60 begins to make ground. High line is not the way to go around this track, as the track only has about a lane and a half. If you try to run high and you make a slight mistake, you're into the wall.
We got that very gaudy-looking number 46 of 79YT making his way up through the field.
As the field
Back side by side by side by side by side, all the way back to even 40th place there.
Here's a better view of that number 46 as Carter Friesen leads the first lap. We got the Tabasco Fiasco number 60 of Dew Storm, hoping to put that beautiful livery in victory lane as he was taken out of a dominant position at Salem a couple weeks back.
And he had some choice words to say to everyone who happened to be a lap down that race.
Funny you bring that up because one of those lap cars is running right behind him, that number 15 Jimmy Johnson throwback of Joester.
He's going to try to make a move to the inside in 3 and 4.
I think he's going to get him here.
Put the move down low. That's going to let the 48 drive it into the bottom. They're going to come down the line. Who's going to be leading that lap? It is.
It's barely Mr. Friesen there.
Yeah.
But Friesen's going to get...
By almost nothing, the 60 takes the lead.
Steamrolled on the outside line there.
As now the 84 has made contact with the outside wall, he's going to lose space. As the field has now gone pretty much single file with the exception of a couple cars.
Got the number 80, the Spotify entry, moving his way up as Jazz forces John Felber in the 73 up high.
Felber is driving a throwback to Joe Nemechek's 2006 or 2007 race car. Very intricate paint scheme. Took a long time to make.
Also making their way forward is the 00 of J-Rack and the 56 of Nitro.
And let's not forget the 7 of Orioles 1932, who will actually be driving the rest of the season in ACS part-time. Not the whole remainder of the season, but he is driving the number 15. He's sharing that ride with Big Nader.
And
trying to balance Cup out with this lower series.
We see a rising rookie in the series, Tropical Cyclone, in front of the AIM cars of Ethan and Mr. Crispy. Tropical had quite the resurgence from the start of the season, wouldn't you guys say?
Absolutely. Tropical has been on a string of top 10 finishes after a absolute garbage first 3 races, and he's been on a tear.
And if I be correct, he is actually the top rookie. Of course, I could be entirely wrong because I believe it's a 2-horse race between him and Julio Cesar.
And Caesar's another one of those drivers that's had a massive resurgence ever since really Iowa.
And we see, the field is mostly single file line. That's what Darlington is usually known for.
You could throw. Go ahead.
Usually just a lot of single file racing. You would like to see side by side racing, but the Lady in Black usually doesn't take too kindly to people racing side by side in her yard.
It's been said by some, notably the YouTuber Slapshoes, that this track only has a lane and a half, and that is very, very right. You try to run pretty much out of that dark groove that runs around the bottom, if you make a slight slip up, you're going to touch the wall. And you'll see why they call it the Lady Black. They originally called it that because they would coat it with a black paint sealer the night before the race. But now the fact that so many cars scrape the wall and rub off black stripes on the wall, that's what it is now.
We see the 64 Nexus Combat making his Enzuko competition debut after the very controversial off-track incident with former driver Hughes moves. Yeah, AIM is seeking to distance themselves from Hughes moves as of late.
I feel like it should be
Here's
mentioned, speaking of driver changes, that the 39 who drives for Nick Saint Racing, Ronald Cosign, has been released from the team after some off-track controversy.
Here's one of the 2 Dr. Pepper throwbacks in the field. This is the 23 of Big Nader, throwing back to the early 2000s number 50 Dr. Pepper that ran in the Busch Series.
Small little shout out to a driver in the top 10 right now. Look at Nitro there in the 10th position. He has not had that best of a season this season so far. Back in 27 points, this would be pretty helpful. I can see him gaining a couple spots out of this in points.
Now the field has begun to look like an average plate race, about 50 laps in, single file the whole way around the track. Everyone following each other's tire tracks.
Following each other's tire tracks, yet no one can really seem to break away from each other.
You saw a bit earlier that the 16 of Ethan Matson had such a fantastic start to the season. Had 5 top 10s in the first 6 races. Then he got wiped out at Salem, and now he is struggling once again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is he the points leader or is he not?
He lost a points lead a couple races ago. He guaranteed lost it at Salem.
Yeah, he is currently sitting 3rd in the point standings behind the 24 of Ben Pye and the 62 of Random J.
Speaking of those two, none of them are in the top 10 right now.
I'll tell you who is, though, that number 7 of Orioles, who's 4th in the standings and is currently running in 5th.
Looks like someone's going to gain some pretty big momentum out of this race.
Yeah, that's a great way to back up your first career win.
Now this little breakaway at the front that was 3 cars is now basically 2. Joseph Jack Hammer is running right on the back of the 60. Wants to make a move. But as I say, that Peter Max Dale Earnhardt throwback scheme, that number 46 has begun to close back up on the group. Is now we see Orioles going to the bottom of the 84.
Okay, I was nudged by Thick, the owner of TMS, with a little handwritten note saying the top FSS rookie is actually Orioles, you dumb boy. So forgive me, we were wrong. Orioles is the top rookie. Orioles, there we go. He gets very frustrated. He gets very frustrated when people mispronounce his name.
Understandable.
Speaking of frustration, I heard that the painter for Zechariah Armstrong Racing really contemplated quitting after putting that masterpiece of a car together in 7-9YT.
It's something else, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
What to describe the paint scheme?
Yeah.
We see side by side. That I believe is Mr. Felber battling with J-Rack in the 02. J-Rack is getting shoved to the high line. That's where that's my TV going off. Oops.
Yeah,
why do you have TV up on the commentary booth? How'd you get it up here?
Trade secret.
Alright.
J-Rack still losing ground. He's going to get passed by the 88 of Sean and then the 55 of Abigail Lane.
I feel like it should be mentioned that 42, that Royal Air Force Spitfire throwback, is driven by Chris Claridge, also known as Crispy Fried Racer. He's the only European driver ever to win a race. He won earlier on this season, and he hails from the United Kingdom, hence the Tesco sponsorship on his car.
And he won at Charlotte in a very thrilling finish.
Leading only one singular lap, the most important one. And it gave his team a 5th consecutive victory, if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, actually.
That would be the All In Motorsports team, correct?
That's correct.
Well, speaking of All In Motorsports, they've got one driver out there leading the race right now.
Looking to get possibly a modern era, an Ensoka record. Most first career wins by a single team in a season.
And Dewstorm is definitely a capable driver. He raced last season in what was then known as the FCS. Didn't have a great year. Took the step down, and since then has been running great.
Yeah, he has always been quite an emotional racer. He frequently talked trash about his cars and talked trash about his boss. The irony is he actually beat his boss in points, yet still decided to leave at the end of the season.
He's about as spicy as the sponsor on that car, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, definitely.
Brayson's fallen back to 6th.
Speaking of drivers who have not had very good seasons but are doing well, the 91 is driven by Jazz, known on other forms of social media as YFZ, and he has had not a very good season considering that his teammate is currently second in the points entering this race, I should say, and he's currently running fifth with a legitimate shot to win if anyone can start making passes.
Well, a minor correction. I was actually wrong. Crispy won the third consecutive race for AIM. It was VGO3 that won the fourth consecutive race. All four of them, though, were first-time winners. So
I should mention right now we got 3 Pantalica-owned cars in the top 10, running 7th, 9th, and 10th. Those being a Felber, Nitro, and Trop.
I feel like it should also be mentioned that the top 3 are all Dodges, while the next 2 are both Chevrolet. Maybe some manufacturer teaming could happen here, but it's unlikely.
First and second in the standings, Ben Pye and Random J are running nose to tail, but back in 26th and 27th.
to me, the top 3 teams are an interesting story. You got AIM in the lead, which started late in season, later than other teams in season 2, and has since actually has surpassed Dick Motorsports for the most Ensoco starts ever. And then you got Joester Jackhammer in 5395 Racing. Am I correct? Yeah,
Correct.
a team that was actually very good in season 2, yet just has never really grasped success since then until this season. Until this season in FSS particularly, and we got 7-9 in Zachariah Armstrong Racing. They showed flashes of success in season 1 of FSS, but they're continuing these flashes of success in season 2.
Orioles looked to the bottom at the exit of the backstretch. Almost wanted to make a pass on 7-9, but nothing came. I feel like 7-9 is a big candidate for this year's least legible number award.
Yes, that gets a second opinion from me.
Here's the Spitfire number 42.
Mention once again.
You mentioned those flashes of brilliance by the Tsar cars. There's the 55 currently running just outside the top 10. And here comes Crispy making a move on Nitro for the 9th spot.
Means that we have 11 laps to go in this race. Let's say we do an FSS style and Ensoco crank 'em.
Turn it up to 11.
Ten laps to go in this race. Dewstorm still your leader. This time 7-9 moved up to second. Orioles to third. Joester fell all the way back to fifth. Still a good position, but a far cry from second.
Seems he may have made contact with the wall while we were away.
nonetheless, this is still a good run for that 15 team. They got their only top 5 of the year at the season opening race at Daytona, and since then it's been kind of a downward slope.
As we're seeing now, 3 of the top 4 contain the 3 of the top 5 undeniable best Enselco teams. We got Eclipse Motorsports. I almost said Do Racing Corps for some reason. Do Racing Corps still is a top team, one of the top 5, but nowhere to be seen in the top 10 right now. We got Thick Motorsports. There's Czar, and then there's AIM.
Meanwhile, Dog, who's had an absolutely terrible season, is currently running dead last.
Silver there making a 84.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah.
I know we shouldn't really show much bias, but he should have stayed in ACS this season. Am I right? He might have had a better chance in ACS this season.
I feel like as the season is going along, we've gotten a little snarkier up here in the booth. The first words that could get us fined by the FCC being dropped by one of the commentators here to one of the races.
Well, FCC can suck my dick, so they can.
Anyway, 46 has closed right to the bumper of Dew Storm, but doesn't seem that he has been able to make a move quite yet.
Right now, if you're in Dew Storm, and J-Rack position, that is J-Rack in the 46, correct?
No, that is 7-9 in the 46.
7-9 in the 46. I don't even think there's a 26 in this field. And if I'm wrong, then I do apologize to the driver of the 26.
Here comes Joester for 4th.
Right now, if you're in that 46 car, what you're gonna want to do is get as close to the leader as you can. Get your bumper just below him in one of the corners, just enough to make him not be able to cut down to the bottom. And try to see if you can outdrive him on the bottom.
Next time by, there will be 3 laps to go.
Dew Storm seeking his first career win. It would mean a lot to him, even after finishing. I believe he did finish second, or at least in the top 5 at Salem. Undeniably, he in his opinion, he earned that win. He was unjustly taken from him, and I was wrong. He actually didn't finish in the top 5 at all. He finished 6th. This would be a certain redemption, leading almost every lap.
And if you thought he was spicy after losing that race, I can't imagine how he'd feel if he loses this one.
I've heard some rumblings that if he won this race, he'd drink an entire bottle of Tabasco hot sauce in victory lane. There are 2 laps to go in this race.
And it seems like that may be very, very likely, but that 46 is putting on the pressure. We're very glad that driver of the 46 has not taken on the same thing, because we definitely don't want to see him drink an entire PlayStation. For one thing, that would be impossible, and second of all, that would hurt quite a bit. But now, coming off a turn 4, Dew Storm leads them as the field takes the white flag.
All Dew Storm needs to do is hit his marks in 2 simple corners, and by simple, I mean 2 of the toughest in the circuit. He is right now driving like a veteran. He pulls away by another length on 7-9. Down the back straight for the final time.
Here comes Orioles. He's making a peak for second. I think that's all he's going to need for Dew Storm.
Coming through 3 and 4. Dew Storm adds his name to the record books. AIM, 5 wins this season, this time with Dew Storm. He wins the Sports Clip 55.
And 7-9 holds off Orioles for second in a photo finish.
We'll see you tomorrow for the Amazon Cup Series Throwback Special, the Bojangles 100 at Darlington.
Green Flag Studios, Nitro, DJF, signing off.